On today's episode, we're talking about recovery, second chances, and the reality of overcoming addiction. We're joined by two guests who have lived through drug and alcohol addiction and are willing to share their stories openly in hopes that it helps someone else. This conversation is not about glorifying addiction, it's about honesty, growth, relapse, recovery, and what life looks like on the other side of it. We appreciate both of you for being here and willing to talk about something personal. So, Angie, I'll start with you if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure, I'm Angie. I'm actually Shay's sister. Fun fact for everyone. But yeah, I'm an addict. I've been in addiction for about 15 years, and I am currently on my recovery journey again, which I'm working on vigorously. And addiction is not a straight line, it's definitely a roller coaster. So we'll keep that in mind during the episode.
Mm,
All right, Rico.
what's going on? What's going on? I'm Rico. I am also a recovering addict. Um, Basically, we're gonna go through some of the hard times and the road to recovery. Um, yeah.
All right, so let's just get right into it. So, let's talk about early life and life before addiction. Angie, I'll start with you. What was life like for you before drugs or alcohol became a part of your life?
Well, I started using pretty early on. And I asked, my brother Shay, if we could talk about it, but our father is an addict. He's a heroin addict, and it was a pretty dark time in our life, and I fell into it. I mean, when we were younger, especially growing up in Fall River or wherever, everyone was doing it. And it seemed like it was cool, at the time. But very quickly did I learn that it wasn't all it was, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows.
Mm,
There was a lot of darkness to it. And that's how it started off. But it was fun, and I'm not glorifying any of it. But when you first start using, you're not having a bad time. You know what I mean? You're having a good time. And I think that for a lot of people who don't understand addiction, they don't realize that we do have good moments,
hmm
but it's the dark moments that really consume you.
It's a true story right
Let's throw it
there.
over to
No,
Rico.
that's a true story right there. Same thing at Far, but like, I mean, I didn't really start doing like any type of drugs or anything like that until like started in my 20s. But like growing up, I felt like a lot of things were good. I mean, my father was always in jail. Addiction runs in my family. Alcoholism runs through my family. So I guess, I mean, it seems like it was only inevitable to happen, but not necessarily. It's just what you get caught up in, and like you said, like the cool thing to do. Um, but like teenage years, I did all the drinking and stuff. Those I had same thing. I had fun too. Like I had lots of fun, and then just like doing things to be cool, selling drugs, selling weed, starting off like that, and then really how kind of I got into it was I was working at 7-Eleven. I was selling weed, and then I started selling perks.
Mm,
That's when it like really took off, and I used to do it recreationally. That's it. I
right.
used to do a recreation. I didn't even know what an addict was for a long time. I actually used to look down on addicts. You know what I mean? Um, but that's again that because that's I didn't know what it was to be an addict. I didn't know what sick was or anything like that. I didn't know any of that stuff. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah.
So,
I
one
wanted to
thing,
point
go ahead,
out,
Angie.
sorry, I wanted to point out that addiction really does run in families, and it's it's like you have to stop the generational addiction. You have to really stop it. And Perks was a huge thing in Fall River for a while. I even sold them when I was younger, not for a long time, but I did because it was like, again, the coolness and everyone was doing it and all this stuff. But what you don't realize is all the things that you're doing when you're younger are slowly peeling away the layers of what came.
Mm,
Yeah, it's interesting that both of yous brought up the family, like your first time using before you used. It was like your ours was your father, Angie, and then Rico, your family. You said had addiction problems, so I think that's a big thing too that not a lot of people talk about is your surroundings, which obviously is your family when you're younger, plays a big part in things you do, whether good or bad. So, Angie, do you remember the first time that you did use?
Um, it started off slowly for me, you know. At first it was smoking weed, you know, behind North Park, or it was like, you know, let's do ecstasy, right? Because ecstasy was a big thing when we were younger too. And then it was party drugs.
Hmm.
And then what really got me personally was the alcohol. And I know that Rico has a different story, but I got really consumed, and I say consume a lot because it really is a disease. And well, I lived with my mother, and not until I actually moved out of Massachusetts did it get super bad. So I ran away from Massachusetts because I was like, oh, I'm going to turn out to be a bum. I'm going to turn out to be a drug addict. You know, I'm not going anywhere with my life. I need to get the fuck out of here. I moved and nothing changed because that shit follows you and it's everywhere.
Hmm.
And it got worse and worse. But yeah, the beginning, I mean, I was probably like 12 when I first started, and I'm 32 now. So what is that? 20 years in the making of but it was a slow burn, you know what I mean? I mean, I didn't just start off and crash. It was year by year it got progressively worse.
Hmm.
And what about you, Rico?
So my first time using, I wouldn't say that I had fun, only because I was at a party, and I believe you were there, Shay. You might not have been around it, but someone busted out an Oxy 80. That's where it started, and someone a little bump, you know what I mean? And I tried it, but I was drunk, so it didn't really do. And I didn't know the anything. I didn't feel anything. At least I didn't think it because I was drunk. So I don't know. But like the first after that, the first time like doing it recreationally at first was I think I'm not gonna name any names, but I was with somebody and my brother. Like, oh, try this. I wanted to try it just to see what all the hype's about, and uh, and it was like the best feeling in the world. Like it just I had like an itchy, tingly feeling. Like you're just like very mellow, like low. It was the honestly it was the best feeling in the world. And then, but
And
again,
when did you know, yeah, when did
yeah.
you know it was getting bad?
Like I said, so when I was working at 7-Eleven, I started getting perks on the cuff, and I was selling them out of the store, um, but it didn't. I was so again. This is how crazy addiction is, right? So like when I didn't have money to grab perks, like or if I started using them, like even if it was like once or two, 3 times a week, I didn't even know what like withdrawals were, right? So like I was stealing money from 7-Eleven, but I thought because right they were buying food stamps illegal and stuff. I'm like, well, they're beating the system, so I'm beating them. But I still don't think it's like I'm young at the time, so I'm like, I'm not gonna get in trouble. Like that's how you think, you know what I mean? But again, still, I didn't know what an addict was, but I was doing all those things. I realized all these things after, you know what I mean? Um, but it really got like when it first got worse. I did a couple years where I was just good. I always had money and I was always able to buy it, so I didn't know what sick
Mm.
was. And then I got fired from 7-Eleven for stealing scratch tickets. And then I was like, wow, why do I feel like shit? And I remember always hearing people talk about it. And then I went and pawned my iPad. And that's when I knew right there. I'm like, whoa, why did I just pawn? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
That's when I realized, like, oh, I said,
Sean
wow.
bought me a ring when we were younger for Christmas, and I pawned it
Mm.
so that I could buy,
Oh,
you know.
thanks. You learn something new every day.
There's gonna be
Oh, we have
Even
lots
on
of
a
stories of me and
podcast.
there'll
Sean
be
fighting.
stories that you never heard before, like you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
it's just what it is. That's the story of it.
So when
and
you
it's
first
so
started
silly.
using, so like what do you both think you were searching for? Like when you were getting high, getting drunk, what were you searching for out of it? Or were you just doing it to do it?
I
For
think
me, I don't think I was searching for anything. I think I was moving away from things. I was isolating, I was hiding, and a lot of like trauma, you know what I mean? Like it's just like you numb. I'm not searching for an answer. I don't want to hear the answer. I want to completely block out everything.
yeah, so the same thing. I don't think I was searching for anything at the time point because I was just doing it for fun. Um, but then, like I said, once I kind of figured out what an act was, that's when like the trauma and like starting to think about the pain, like my dad being in jail like all my life, like all those you learn, you kind of like through recovery you learn all these type of things. You don't really know it right off rip. You learn those things as you go into recovery, go back out, go into recovery. You learn as you go basically, like what you got to get in the root of it deep down inside, but a lot of people do it to put away the pain, you know what I mean?
It's
And
true.
so when Rico, when did you realize like so let's go into the addiction phase. Like when did you realize things were getting out of control?
um I don't know. I guess like I remember like fast forward, I was delivering for Chinese like place or whatever. And I don't like I was probably doing like I don't know 3 a day or something like that. But then I'm doing like
Three what?
I was doing 3 parks. You know what I'm saying?
30s?
30s, yeah.
Damn.
Like that's how, but that's you build a tolerance, right? Right. So you build a
You
tolerance.
do.
It's just like anything you do, smoking weed, you're gonna build a tolerance. You get high off a
That's
blunt,
true.
now you're doing a whole ounce just to get, you know what I'm saying? Like that.
Just to get high.
It's with anything you do, I guess. But I was buying like 10, 15 of them, doing like 7 of them. You know what I mean? It seems like it is crazy. It is a lot. You know what I'm saying? But people
When you
that
think about it now,
but
I'm
when
sure.
you think about it, but people don't like because people will judge. They'll judge you for that and be like, "Oh, you were doing 7." Like, yeah, but your tolerance builds up. That's why I was doing so much. I wasn't doing it because I just want to get. Obviously, you want to feel good, but to
Right.
get right, that's what you got to do. You know what I mean? Because you build a tolerance up.
And how
I think a
much did
big
that
part of that.
cost? Like, so
Oh,
was
yeah,
it
yeah,
so
yeah.
seven? So seven. So
So
you
they're
said you did
$30.
7 a day.
25 a piece, but so
What?
25 a piece.
If you
So
buy in bulk, they're cheaper. I'm just
yeah,
saying.
of
I know
course, if you
that's
buy
not
them in
good.
bulk, they're cheaper. But also, I won't mention the person, but I was
Mhm.
getting them on the cuff, and I actually got my job back at 7-Eleven. This is when it got really crazy when I was stealing $200 to $400 a night, and I was working 4 nights a week on the overnight. That's when it was getting like really crazy.
And you were
I just
using that money to
to buy perks.
for your
That's it,
addiction.
100%.
Wow. All right. What about you,
It's so
Angie?
shocking to like hear it, like when Rico talks about that, it's like it almost just comes out so naturally, like it was normal. You know what I
I
mean?
know 7. He's like
But
7. I'm like,
well,
what?
that's what
I
I was
would
gonna say.
die.
Like but the thing is with addiction is like one is too many and 50 is not enough.
Uh huh.
Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
you have to continue the high. You have to continue the drunk because as soon as you don't feel it anymore, you're anxious, you're uncomfortable, everything starts flooding in, right?
Mhm.
Because you've been numbing all of that down. So now as soon as the drink ends or the drugs stop, you're being overstimulated and you need to numb it again. So it does make sense that he was doing that much because his body needed it.
Mhm.
Mm.
And that kind of goes with alcoholism. Like, I had horrible withdrawals. I would go to bed shaking, sweating, and so uncomfortable. And then I'd wake up, and the first thing I would have to do is grab a drink because that was the only thing that could fix the pain. The
Mhm.
thing that was causing me pain to begin with was now the only thing that could fix the pain. And it's this vicious cycle.
Nice.
Yeah.
Shay, what you got?
So, Angie, when did you realize things got out of control? Like, how old were you, and when were you like, wow, like I'm deep in this addiction? If you like
Deep,
can
deep,
recall.
probably after my daughter was born, I would say. She's gonna be 8 soon, but I had really bad postpartum And I don't know if a lot of like the listeners will know what postpartum is, but you get really depressed after you have a child. And I just drank. And I started noticing that I was drinking, every day. And then I started noticing that I was drinking in the mornings. And then through the years up until now, I was drinking at work. I was drinking while driving. I was drinking when I was happy. I was drinking when I was sad. I was drinking during any sort of celebration. I could go to a funeral drunk. Like, it did not matter. And I think that's when I realized, like, hey, and I mean, I know it's kind of a serious topic, but this is a serious discussion. But I did lose custody of my daughter for a bit. And I think that really hit me. Like, I am throwing my life away to to drink, and that's not okay.
No, I mean, it's uncut thoughts, so we
Yeah,
all
but I mean, it's
have
tough,
been through
obviously, to talk
things.
about.
Of of course. And
Yeah.
would you so your guys' addictions, how did it affect your family, your close friends, relationships? Like how did your addiction get in the way of those things? Rico?
So, I mean, I don't think you really realize what it does to your family because you're so caught up in this shit. Nothing matters. Like you like it matters to you, but it doesn't matter as long as you get that next one. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
When you get that next one, then you're all happy, la di da di, love you, this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? But you don't. Again, that's stuff you got to learn. Like when you're sober, that you learn that all that type of stuff. But like, I mean, it affected my family tremendously. I mean, like my mom, like her not being able to sleep at night, not knowing if something's gonna happen to me, or me, like same thing. My girl, same thing, and they just they love you and they want to see you do good, and it sucks for them because they can't help you. You know what I'm saying? You can only help yourself. You know what I mean? Of course, like you
mhm,
want to be like you said, all even like when you're getting high, you're like, oh, I'm gonna stop doing this. It's gonna be the last one. I'm gonna go to rehab. I've been to rehab fucking dozens and dozens of times, and just I never wanted it for myself at those time
mhm.
points. I was doing it for them, or I was doing it because I didn't want my girl to break up with me, or I was doing it because I wanted to, you know, be around the kids and not like you know what I mean. But it just affects your family that you don't even know how much it affects your family. Like,
And I think that's a huge part in recovery is we're not the only victims. Like our families are victims, our friends are victims, our children, our boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives. They're watching us kill ourselves and we're allowing it to happen. And it's crazy because you're setting almost this fire, you know what I mean? Like while you're in active addiction, you're just burning bridges. You're like, fuck this, I'm gonna do what I want. And then the dust kind of settles, after you get sober and look at the carnage.
mm-hmm,
Everyone is hurting. But I think a good point of that and more of a brighter side of that is that you do have support. And a lot of people don't realize that there are people out there who love you and who care about you and who want to see you do better. They don't want to see the shitty part of you.
no, that's a fact. Because
Well,
you say that right, and like I think of it like this: there's people out there that don't have a mother, that don't have a father, that don't have all that support, and I can only imagine how much harder it is for them to. What do they have to live for? They got nothing to live for. They don't got kids. They don't got no
Exactly.
family, no mom and dad. So why not just fuck it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
and a
Well,
lot
that's
of
a
them end
dark
up
side.
homeless.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but I also want to bring a light side to that too. There are a lot of places and resources that you can go to. There are people whose job, like me and Sean's mom, she does social work and like she helps people find homes, find rehabs, find resources. It's not the end. Like as much as it sucks so bad when you hit rock bottom and you just want to DIE,
Mm.
it it is not the end for you, and there are people out there who will help you even if you don't have friends and family who support you. There are people out there support groups, even an AA meeting is completely free. And I know it's not for everyone, and I don't even go to them myself, but there are places that you can go to get help.
Mm.
If you want it, you can get it.
Fun
That's
fact.
perfectly said.
Fun
Oh,
fact
Rico's got a fun
is
fact.
when I was in my when I tried out my first halfway house, it was in New Bedford, and that's actually I obviously I known your mom since I was a teenager, but I met your mom at the place wherever she was working at, or she was at some type of event, and I'm like, what? It's just a small world that your mom's into. You know what I mean? How small world is
Yep,
that?
that's crazy.
So
And
that's
my
It's
mom
like
doesn't
this is
judge
a
either,
time.
so
of
she,
course,
No.
she understands. So
And she's an angel.
that's crazy.
Yeah. And
So
it's funny because my best friend actually works, in not in the industry of this, but she works in healthcare. And she's so supportive, and she's like been sort of through this with me for years. And so many times she could have been like, fuck you, I'm sick of your shit, but she didn't.
yeah.
I think that's really important.
oh yeah,
And so coming from my point, like I've done the perks, I've done these drugs, drink, obviously not as much, and I kind of didn't get fully addicted. So from like people like me who haven't experienced addiction to that degree, um, is it truly hard for us to understand? And what's like the hardest thing for us to understand about an addiction? Like, because some people do judge, they'll say, "Oh, I could if they could just easily stop," but it's probably not that easy. So, what would you tell
Yeah.
those type of people that don't understand what addiction truly is?
well, I'd say like until like someone in your family, like obviously you don't want that stuff to happen, but let someone in your family be an addict, right? Then you'll kind of know what you'll go through and you'll understand it eventually. You know what I mean? Some people that judge, they don't have anybody that's an addict. Their family, their kids are good, like everything's good, so they don't have that. So of course they're gonna judge. And again, when I was younger, though, I judged too. I used to say, junkies and all that type of shit. Like, oh, I would never do that. I would never do any of that. But you don't know until you know.
Exactly. And what's really important is addiction is a disease, and I kind of brought this up earlier, but it is a disease of the mind, and it's almost an obsession, and then it becomes like a compulsion. So you can't really stop. And, for people who don't understand addiction, I think it's really good to inform yourselves, especially if you have someone in addiction. I have a partner right now, my boyfriend, who does not really fully understand addiction, but I tell him every single day what I'm going through, and we communicate. And you really need to, as an addict in recovery, you need to be able to communicate your feelings to people and be vulnerable. And I know it sounds super gay. Like it's like, oh, that's so corny, like let's not be vulnerable, but like it's important, especially if you care about other people. And like I said before, it consumes you, and a lot of people don't realize that until you're in the situation yourself. You'll never be able to walk in an addict's shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably for the best, and we envy you, honestly. Like, I envy people who can have a beer after work. I envy people who can drink on the weekends. I'm like, holy shit, you can do that? Like, if I have one beer, I'm gone for like a month. You're not even gonna hear from me. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And I think it's important to realize that we're sick and we need help.
Yeah.
And that sounds a little kooky, but that's okay.
No, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, what was that moment, Rico? I'll start with you. What was the moment that you realized, like, all right, something has to change with what I'm doing here in this addiction?
I mean, it took me, a long time to like realize, like, cause like a lot of the times, like I was saying before, I went for everybody else and never went for me. Even my first halfway house, like I was actually on probation, so I kind of, yeah, probation. So I kind of did it for them in a sense, but I felt like I was doing good. I had the job, everything was going, like everything was good in my life. You know what I mean? I wasn't rich or anything like that, but everything was just going how it was supposed to be going. Um, but So I guess I had that little bit of clean time, which was maybe 6 months, whatever. And then I was back on and off for fucking. That was in 2017. I got clean in 2023 is when I went to rehab this time. Was it 23? No, it was 22. 2022. And this time I went for, um, well, before, let me get a little bit before that. So I was using, and then something dramatic happened in my life. Actually, I felt like I was doing good actually for like a little bit. I was like recreational, even though you can't do recreational, but in my mind I was doing it like just for fun at the time, even though I already knew what an addict was and all that stuff. I was working at a liquor store, and I got a call from a state trooper, and it was I hear my mom crying in the background, and I'm like, "Why are you crying?" So I'm thinking that they want me to. I'm thinking I'm like I did something wrong. They like you need to come to the house. I'm like, what I gotta come to the house for? And that's when I found out my twin sister and my grandmother died, and that was probably the worst day of my life. Um, like that was like my dad being in jail, my mom always working, my sister was my other half. She was my twin, and trying not to cry, but
No, cry if you need to, honestly.
it's just been
Hmm.
it's been so hard, man. Like that shit really killed me. Um, but even after that, like I remember like that day when I found out, like this is how crazy addiction is, right? Like I know I was using it recreational, but it was starting to become a problem, and once I found that out, I didn't believe it. Like so, they wouldn't tell me over the phone, and then my aunt's boyfriend called, and they're like, I despise him. I don't really like him. I was gonna say that, and he called. He said it just like this. He didn't even say it like nonchalant or like. He's like, yeah, you're gonna come to the house. Your grandmother and your sister are dead, just like that. Like, why would you even say that? But there was a guy my friend was at a hotel next door. Before I even went down there, I went and copped those drugs. You know what I'm saying? Just because I just knew it was a wrap from there. Like I thought I'd never coming back from that. Thought I'd never come back. Um, and then you know, fast forward from there, I still was using. She died, and they died in 2020, May 19th, 2022. So the anniversary just came up 6 years, and I still don't believe it. Um,
Yeah.
I just hope that and pray that they're watching over me and they're seeing what's going on and what I'm doing. But it took me 2 years after that, and then I finally, it wasn't my, I was at rock bottom, but it wasn't like my rock bottom for me. It was, but I was doing it again. I was really doing it for my kids and my girl because they were going camping. So I was like, yeah, I'll go to rehab. She gave me an ultimatum like, if you want to go camping, then you got to go get clean. So I go in there, and now like I ain't never like withdrawed this bad ever in my life. Like I didn't like sleep for 2 weeks. Like didn't get up, didn't smoke a cigarette, nothing. Like 2 weeks straight, I was hurting. Even like they give you the methadone or whatever to wean you
Hmm.
off, and it didn't do shit. And so I remember getting on the phone. There was this kid in my room, matter of fact, and he was trying to get me to leave, go to a hotel. He's like, "Oh, we're just gonna go take some." There's this thing called gabapentin and
Gabapentin?
yeah, and Klonopin. It's like a thing that people abuse it, but and the Klonopin. So I'm like, yeah, we'll go to a hotel. And he's like, I'll drop you off. I'm like, all right, that's not good, but I was hurting so bad, I was ready to do it. And this is when I believed, like, I still like am trying to grasp like the higher power, God, whatever it may be. Um, I go to call my mom real quick just to talk to her real quick. I wasn't gonna tell her I was leaving or anything, but I just wanted to go just call in. So I go in and check in, and my dad was in jail at the time. He was doing 10 years. And I call her, and he's just so ironic that they're both on the phone together. So that we click, and you know what I mean? He's on the jail call with her. And it's just so ironic that they're both on the phone. So that was like, like, what is that? Like, why are they both on the phone right now? Like, what are the odds that me calling my mom and my dad's on the phone too? Like, I didn't expect that. Um,
Hmm.
and then I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna give it a try. I'm gonna give it a whirl. So fast forward, I once I got over that hump of 2 or 3 weeks, started feeling better. Then I'm like, some kid actually, I always gonna remember for him for this, because even still, I was just trying to go like a quick spot, like a sober house, which is not like there's no rules. It's just like drop your bags and go. Because I still had plans
Hmm.
on using. And I'm sorry if I'm taking up too much time. I'm trying to explain
No, you
everything.
could. No, this is good.
So he's like, "Why don't you try this program?" I don't know if I should. I don't know if I can mention the program, but I guess I can. It's one. I'll just say this: it's one of the best programs in the world as far as halfway houses go. It's like number two in Massachusetts or something. Not in the world, in Massachusetts. And he's like,
Wow.
just give it a try. So I'm like, screw, I'll give it a try. Fast forward, I get there. It's like a mansion. There's like three houses. It's like it's a straight mansion. It was pretty cool, man. I was like, all right, I'm gonna give this shot. Worst comes to worst, if I don't like it, I can always go back out and use. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
That's very
Hmm.
easy for me to do. So then, life just, I started getting into the recovery thing and just really paying attention. I really gave it an honest shot. I was like, I'm gonna try this for myself this time. Even though I was trying it for them at first, I'm like, let me just do it for myself, see if I can do this. You know what I mean? And I did want it deep down. You always want it for yourself, no
Yeah.
matter what. But this time, I was like, I'm gonna really do it for myself. And then, I mean, I started doing good there. I got a job at Amazon. I was working there. Um, I was at this place for 9 months, um, saving money. Like I've always had an issue saving money. It helped me, like, and like the place helped me. They definitely helped me. Like it was like a crutch or a band-aid to help me like get through stuff. But I did all the work on my own. They helped get me along, but you got to do it on your own too. You know what I'm saying? So I put the
Hmm.
steps in, and here I am today, fucking 4 years sober, June 15th.
Let's applaud Rico.
4 years. That's incredible.
That is
And I'll just
incredible.
say, I never thought I would ever have that in my life. Never. That's like never. It's just, life is good today. Life is great. Life is so
See?
Yep.
good.
And you had that support and you had that mindset of, I'm going to put the work in
Hmm.
and I'm actually going to do it this time. And I think that's so important for people to know. But
Yep. And
uh
I'm sorry for
so
taking up
I'm
all that
so
time.
sorry about what
no,
happened
that
to you,
was a
by the way,
great.
Rico.
That was awesome. That was you explained yourself well on that one, man. So rest in peace.
Big
Um,
Red, baby.
Hey, Red,
Yeah,
your grandmother. I do remember that time too during COVID. Um,
me too. Yeah.
that's that's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Angie, what would you say? Um, what was the moment you realized something had to change in your
Well,
recovery
like
journey?
kind of similar to Rico. Yeah. I've been to rehab in and out for years. I've been to dozens also of rehabs, and this last go around, I was so sick that I had to go to detox. And kind of like the whole divine intervention thing that Rico was talking about too, which is actually kind of crazy. But so I got out of detox. Well, I checked myself out of detox because there were like chickens eating cigarettes and it was really weird. It's a long story. But I was on phenobarbital, and phenobarbital they use during detox. But the thing is, with phenobarbital, if you drink, you'll die. Not for sure, but there's a good chance that you'll die. So I got out of detox. I had phenobarbital in my system, and I kind of in my mind was like, I'm going to relapse. I'm going to drink anyway. But for some weird reason, like I knew that I could die, but my cat, and I know it sounds stupid, my cat like wouldn't let me out of the house. And I was like, "What are you doing, buddy? Like mommy's going to go get some booze." And he would not let me out of the house. And I was like, "Whoa, like is this a sign?" Because I'm not sure about my higher power or my God either. And I think that's a thing that a lot of people struggle with in addiction is finding a higher power or a God or whatever have you. And I truly believe in coincidences, and I believe in there are signs from the universe. And that day it just happened to be my cat. And I still today am in a program. It's PHP, which is a partial hospitalization program. So it's a step down from inpatient rehab. And I go to group therapy 25 hours a week every week.
Oof.
Yeah, and it is very intensive and it's a lot and it's a lot of people trauma dumping and it's very intense, but like Rico was saying before, like I'm doing this for me this time because I already lost friends. I already lost family. I've lost friends to addiction and I didn't want to be that person either. Like it's crazy to even think about. One of my really good friends, I won't mention his name, but he passed away about 6 years ago. Um and that drug me down. It really did. And I started drinking more and more heavily. But now I feel like he's my guardian angel. Like, I feel like we talk to each other. And, we talk about these programs and rehabs and whatever. You do have people who are just like your little angels. And I don't even like know where to go from there. It's just I realized that I was too deep when I was getting too sick and when I had lost friends, and I had lost friends not only to addiction from passing away, but I had lost friends due to my addiction from pushing them away.
Mm.
And it's just it's so shitty. Like, well, I will say I don't like AA very much, but there is a step where you make amends. And I feel like that's a huge part in recovery is you've burned so many bridges, which I also already talked about. But when you start your recovery, you have to, not at first, but you do have to make amends and, say I'm sorry for what I did. I really didn't mean to do that. I wasn't in my right fucking mind.
Mm-hmm.
And like
Mhm.
Sean is my brother, like we've talked about, but I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've texted him, like, hey, like, I need help, or I need money, or I need someone to just fucking talk to. And it's embarrassing, but it's worth it.
It is, and I always tell you too. It's not embarrassing, but I get it. Um, both of yous, I've known Rico for like 20 something years. Angie, I've known you since I was born. Well, since you were born,
Since I was born.
since you were born,
Since
and you
I was
both
born.
obviously like that's why this episode is like a good one to do because you both are strong people because you went through very vulnerable moments, and your road to recovery is something that I think a lot of people should look at because there's a lot of people that have addictions and a lot of people may not even know it. There's people like you both. I couldn't even tell. Like when you were high, you were drunk. I couldn't even tell because it was you were immune to it, right? Your tolerance, like you guys mentioned, was high. So
That was our normal.
yeah, it was your normal, right?
Right?
Like
Normal.
me with
Yeah.
weed, that's what it was, I guess. but
Same thing. It's the same thing.
right, Rico. So, what advice would you give someone, right now that's listening to this and they're dealing with an addiction and struggling? What advice would you give to that person?
Um, I would say if you, I always tell this is what because all right, so I work in the field now. I work at a halfway house, and I've
Hmm.
been there actually June 6th. I've been there. I'll be there 3 years. Um,
Wow.
so that definitely like because I'm not gonna sit here and like pretend that I go to meetings a week. I don't do meetings like that. I'm gonna be honest. I do like going to them, and I do like hearing people's stories. I just they say you got to make time for. I'm trying to make time where I can do it like 2 days a week or something because I do. I genuinely enjoy going to meetings and hearing other people's stories and just identifying with other people. Um, but like I always see like younger dudes. I tell them I'm like because I remember my first time in rehab. I was 21. I actually sectioned myself and. I just wish I would have got it then. Of course, I'm glad I have it now, but you have to let go of that, and that's just something you got to learn over time. But like, I wish I would have got it that young. I think about all the things I could have had, but what I have right now is me being sober. I have my family, all that stuff, so it's great. You know what I mean? Life's fucking great today. Like, I can
Mm-hmm.
go, I can pay rent every month on time and not have to stress about it. You know what I'm saying? Not have to worry about how I'm gonna help get money for rent because my girl's doing all the she's the one making the money. I'm spending all my money, and she's the one trying to keep it together. And she's, I, I'm grateful for her. I want to say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like. I'm gonna get into that part, but I'm just grateful for
No, you're good.
my girl because she stood with me this whole time. She's like she saw the good in me. She knows the person I was before I was really an addict, and she knew that person eventually was gonna come back. I'm sure she
Mhm.
doubted a lot of times, but she stood by me my 10, 12 years of using. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm forever grateful for her, man. But uh, the advice I would give is just try to get it while you're young. Like it's gonna be hard. It's of course it's not gonna be easy, right? Like playing basketball. You never played basketball in your life. You know how to dribble a ball or shoot a ball. It takes time. You know what I'm saying? Obviously practice.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's the same thing, but it takes time. And
Yep.
get it while you're young so you can have a bright future ahead of you. Because this shit is
Mhm.
getting worse and worse. I'm glad I'm not in it right now because it's far worse, I feel now, than it's ever been. Like as far as the fentanyl goes and all that, and the
Mhm.
xylazine
Mhm.
and all that stuff, it's just getting way worse. People are just cutting, putting whatever in their shit now. So like, there's so many ODs. I've lost so many people I know from
Mhm.
overdoses. So many people.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, and I'm grateful, I've never had an overdose, and I'm just glad that I like got away from it when I did, because it's just like I said, it's worse now. But just you gotta want it for yourself. Obviously, you can try it for your family at first, and if it doesn't work out, just keep trying. You keep trying, eventually you're gonna get it, and just listen to what other people are telling you. Because if you're hearing, meetings, you got dudes with fucking 20, 25 years sober, and they have a good life and they share their stories. You might not like when you're first at rehab, you don't even care what they're saying, but you'll remember something. You'll remember something down the
Mhm.
road, like, oh, I remember this dude, and like you're gonna want that life, and you can have that life. You just gotta stay sober and do it one day at a time. You know what I'm saying?
That's
All
a
right,
good
Angie.
point. No, yeah, that's a good point. I always say one day at a time, and I think from more of my perspective, recovery, like I said before, it isn't a straight line. It's a lot of this. I mean, I have relapsed, recovery, repeat many times. And it's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you get back up.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, relapse happens. And I don't want to say it's okay, but it is okay. As long as you can get back up and be like, that fucking sucked. Like, I want to be better. I want to be better than myself the next day. And there's just so many nuances to it. And recovery's hard. I've been going through it for a long time, and you can't make excuses for it. I had a bad day. Everyone has a bad day.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But you do have support. Like Rico has, his partner, and I mean, I have my partner, and he has been through it with me also. Like, he's like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "You don't understand." Like, I'm not really in control here. I'm not the one driving the car. Like, my brain goes somewhere else sometimes, and I do relapse. But being in recovery is so much better. Like, I feel more clear-headed. I feel like there is a possibility that you can have fun without drugs. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not the end
Mhm.
of the fucking world. And there's a lot of, groups and places and sober things that you can do. Um, yeah. And I've lost people to addiction too, and it's hard, but it's not and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You just got to keep walking through it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people give up like halfway through, and it is really, really hard. Especially for me, I'm an alcoholic. I have a liquor store across the street. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to call my drug dealer. I just need to get in my car and drive across the street. That's my drug dealer.
Yep.
But
Mhm.
you have to choose every single day that you're not going to do that, that you're going to
Mhm.
stay sober, even like 1 minute at a time. And I think a big thing with addiction is surrender. And it's they always say like surrender to your higher power or surrender control. And I mean, that's all good and stuff, but I think it's not surrendering control. It's almost getting control back. Like,
Mm.
I'm gonna get control back of my life. I'm not going to let this thing fucking control me anymore. I'm gonna love. I'm going to live. I'm gonna do all the things that I should have been doing this whole time. So,
I just want to add real quick that
Hmm.
even though I have 4 years sober, right? Well, gonna be 4 years sober. Like, yes, it's gonna get easy. They say the first year is the hardest. The first
mm,
year. Um, Obviously, it's gonna get easier as time goes. But I can't never forget where I came from because it can happen just like this. I can leave this podcast right now and have a thought,
mm-hmm,
and if I choose not to talk about it with somebody or whatever the case may be, I'll go out and cop something right now, and that could be gone. You know what I'm saying? But
mm-hmm.
it just gets easier. Like, don't get me wrong. Even though I have this much time sober, I get thoughts here and there. Like, but it
Yep,
passes, or I call somebody like just to, hey, what's up? Just let them know what I'm feeling, type of thing. You know what I mean? But it just
yep.
gets easier as time goes. But you never forget, you can relapse at any time. It's all part of
You
recovery at the end of
can.
the day. Hopefully,
It is a part of recovery, and I think that's a huge thing is a lot of people get so down on themselves when they relapse and then they just keep going.
yep.
Right? How fucking far can I go? Like how more can I fuck this up?
Hmm.
And it's like that doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't. And I think a good ending to like all of this is like there is hope. Like I've been in really, really dark places. I've had horrible things happen to me. My brother knows, like just really fucked up shit. And it's like you have to have the will to keep going.
Hmm.
And like Rico was saying, like you could do it, right? Like you can relapse,
Hmm.
but what does that do? Nothing. It doesn't fix anything. It just harms everything. So there's no positive outcome of
No, it
using.
always gets
And what
worse and
really
worse.
sucks, yeah, is that a lot of people who relapse do it in secret. Like
Hmm.
no one knows about it. I relapsed so many times for months and no one knew.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's a
Well,
facts.
that was a great episode. Honestly, like, obviously, I enjoyed listening to both your stories, and I'm sure everyone listening to this is going to really enjoy it because it was authentic and uncut. Um, so I just want to thank you both for being so upfront, not holding anything back, just speaking your truth. Not a lot of people can do that. So from my end, thank you guys. Um, and to everyone listening, uh, make sure you like, subscribe, show some love to these two. And any last words?
Thank you for having me on here. And
Mhm.
sober is better.
I like that. Sober is better.
um yeah, sober is better and there is still hope out there. Don't give up. Addiction is a struggle, but you can get through it. If we got through it, you can get through it.
That's facts.
That's right. All right, everyone. Have a good night.
All right, have a good night.
Thank you.